Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randirhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man. The fault.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind. Holiday. Yes, it is. Ashley wins.
Oh, the next president of the United States.
And the realization of losing his head
There he is.
has just engulfed
Very presidential.
Mr. McMahon. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
The next president of the United States, everybody. POTUS. Shaving Vince McMahon's head. Right there on the TV. And his lovely wife. She's going to head up the Small Business Association because, you know, WWE is such a teeny little bit. Of course, you know, it's Vince McMahon's father's business. And it's just amazing. And she gave, $6 million to the Trump campaign. So no pay to play there. Just don't even look over there. Look over here. Look over here at that small shiny eye. Look. See, everybody? Vince McMahon's head's being shaved by the POTUS, by the next president of the United States. So presidential. I can't wait for, our adversaries around the world to see this. They'll think he's such a tough guy. Fake fighting. Oh, and you know what's really interesting? These other crappy pics. Have you seen the crappy pics? Have you? We have another guy who needs vowel movement. We do. They're so, even their names are annoying. Mnuchin. Now we have Pudzer. Buy a vowel! Have a vowel movement, for God's sake. And if you can, have a colonoscopy along with me. Join me. I'll lay in tandem with you on gurneys. We'll be free. Putz. Let's just call him it's Pudzner. Mr. Pudzner. No, Pudzer. Oh, bite me. I hate these people already, okay? Just because of their names. But, okay, so they picked this guy. He's the head of something called CKE. CKE is a business that operates Carl's Jr.'s and Hardee's. Hey, paper hats for everybody. Paper hats and hairnets for everybody. Doesn't believe in the minimum wage. Of course not. He's a fast food king, okay? Just unbelievable. So everybody's going to be wearing hairnets or paper hats or something like that. Now, if you eat at these places, I just got to tell you, you live so remotely that there is nothing else around you. Okay? There really isn't. I mean, even undercover boss won't go there. Do you know, anyway, this is a guy who opposes everything from minimum wage to overtime pay. And he's going to head up the Department of Slave Labor, apparently. This is the new department. And, you know, if you look at all these people, of course, everybody, I think you're pretty hip to the fact that they appointed the Oklahoma Attorney General, who is a climate change denier, to head up the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. And then you've got General John Kelly, who's best known as not Chris Kobach, heading up the Department of Homeland Security. How many freaking generals? Listen, we're going to get there. We'll get there. There's a word for it. Today you're going to learn a new word, a word you probably never heard of, a word that you need to know, a word that you need to study, and a word that we hope to push out into the mainstream media, whatever the hell that is. But Scott Pruitt, he's the Oklahoma Attorney General, and he is somebody who has put his name upon letters and reports that he didn't write. He didn't create them. Lobbyists for oil and gas did. And this guy, Pruitt, would sign his name. He would print it out on Oklahoma Attorney General stationery. Which apparently, is an old Karl Rove trick. Okay. And whatever the lobbyists would write, he would have it reprinted on his own personal stationery. And then he would send it to the Obama administration. He would send it to the EPA. He would send it all over the U.S. government. And really, it was the oil and gas company lobbyists who fight every single environmental regulation that were writing these letters for him. And if this doesn't come up in the confirmation, I swear to God. But you know what's really, really crazy about him is he was, when he first started as a young lawyer, he had a small little legal office in Oklahoma where he went to law school. He's really from Kentucky. And then he moved to Oklahoma to go to law school. Which is, you know, kind of one step away from the Dominican Republic Law School, I guess. I don't know. Or an unaccredited law school. But anyway, he went to law school in Oklahoma, and he co-owned and managed the Oklahoma City Redhawks, which was the minor league team. And then he decided to open up his own little legal firm, and it was called Christian Legal Services. Christian Legal. I thought that was the Bible. Didn't you think that Christian Legal Services was the Bible? I thought that was the way that they operated with the, laws. There are God's laws and there are Caesar's laws. Render unto God what is God's, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. But he mixed and mangled the two together, and you never get a good result when you do stuff like that. So anyway, he actually was challenging all the government's attacks on individual rights, like people being forced to sell cakes to gay couples, this kind of thing. But here's my question for him. Doesn't he realize that one of God's best creations took even longer than Adam and Eve? Because Eve was made from spare parts. Eve was like, she could have been made in a factory in Indianapolis. But Adam, he was a work of art, right? And then Eve was made from his rib, just, as an aside. Because apparently he got horny or something. I don't know. And he needed, someplace to go to kill the boredom. There was no porn back then. Did you know that? There was no porn, millennials. Back then? No. I don't know, but I don't know how they survived, but they did. And Eve tried to find out why there was no porn. This is why she ate the apple. She ate the apple because it was from the tree of knowledge. And she wanted to know, where's the porn? Get him off me. I'm so tired of toiling under this man's belly. I don't even understand. Why am I here? Where is the porn? So anyway, it's a really good millennial story to pass on. But this guy doesn't, he doesn't, well, maybe he does realize Adam, great creation. Eve, was cool too. That only took a day to create them. But the earth, that took like 7 days. I mean, a whole week. That's like recovery from surgery, a whole week. Millennials. That's like, if you had your lips done, the recovery. Like that. It's a long time, right? So if he's so Christian and he understands that the Bible is the law for him, why did he open up a legal services, shop, number one? And number two, why is he fighting against the earth, God's greatest creation? Because 7 days and only a day for, Adam, and half a day for Eve because she was spare parts. So I don't understand why these Christian people don't respect God's greatest creation, which is the earth. But they don't, and it's weird. It's very, very weird. I can't understand it. But anyway, he's going to be in charge of our earth. He's now the new God. He's going to be in charge of the new earth. And what's really creepy about Mr. Pruitt, besides that, here's what it says in the newspaper today. This is the New York Times. Of course, they go through his, curriculum vitae, where, he was born in Kentucky, went to law school in Oklahoma, ran for the state legislature, decided to open up a law firm instead, whatever. But, they talk about these letters, they said Attorney General Scott Pruitt has long been a defender of states' rights and a vocal opponent of the current administration's EPA. States' rights. Now, can I ask you people, especially like Kansas City would be a good place. Tri-state area in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. These would be good places to have this conversation. If I pollute in Kansas City, Missouri, how do you stop it in Kansas City, Kansas? See what I mean? You can't have states' rights when it comes to air. You can't have states' rights when it comes to the waterways. You better know your laws, sir. These are navigable waterways. I mean, honestly, how do you say, okay, the Missouri River that runs through North Dakota, that can be polluted, but the part of the Missouri River that's downstream can't be polluted. I mean, how are you going to do this? How do you have state by state laws with regard to the air and the navigable waterways? I can't even like imagine what the plan would look like to do that. But anyway, he's a defender of states' rights when it comes to your air quality and your water quality. And now I'm starting to think would be a good time to go ahead and buy one of Jim Bakker's Fiesta Bucket, in case of Armageddon, 726, dehydrated Mexican meals that will live forever in your arteries. I'm thinking this is a good time. At least bottled water, no? I'm starting to think the preppers were onto something. I think I might want a prep box. Or 2 or 5. I've been watching these prepper videos, Awesome prepper videos. That there's different ones. There's stupid preppers, and there's awesome preppers, and there's preppers, and there's preppers that, debate each other about, the benefits of canned food versus dehydrated. I mean, there's a whole community out there, and I'm going to start to talk to them because if there's not going to be any air to breathe and there's not going to be any water to drink, then perhaps I do want some Jim Bakker's buckets. Perhaps I do want to decorate an entire room of my house with the buckets and a piece of plywood and a lovely little, tablecloth. Maybe I do. But here it says at the heart of Mr. Obama's efforts to tackle climate change are a collection of EPA regulations aimed at forcing power plants to significantly reduce their emissions of planet-warming carbon dioxide pollution. So how do you regulate Oklahoma's planet warming carbon dioxide emissions if Oklahoma is connected to the planet and the other states? Do you see? This makes no sense. But anyway, they do give you a little reassurance. They say Mr. Trump cannot unilaterally cancel the rules which were released under the 1970 Clean Air Act, but a legally experienced EPA chief like a Mr. Pruitt would substantially weaken, delay, or slowly take them apart. Okay, there's the key sentence, okay? Slowly take them apart. This goes right back to Rick Perry's whoops moment. You remember Rick Perry's whoops moment? He was saying, in the debate, he said, I want to get rid of 3 agencies, 3 complete agencies, got to get rid of them. And he said, I want to get rid of the EPA, education, and oops. He had a senior moment. It's Health and Human Services is the other. And look who he has put in charge of all these 3 people that hate all these 3 agencies. You have a climate denier in charge of EPA. You have Betsy DeVos, another billionaire, in charge of education. She doesn't believe in public education. She believes you should get a voucher and pay for your kid to go to school. And you'll send your kid to the school that the voucher covers, or you could spend more out of your own pocket and send them to a better school and, mix the voucher like a coupon with your Kohl's cash. I'm very good at doing that, but not when it comes to choosing a skill. Do you know what I mean? It's like I got Kohl's cash. Oh, and here's a 25% off coupon. Apparently, we're going to run specials on schools, too. So they have Betsy DeVos, the billionaire in charge of education. She doesn't believe in public education. You have Pruitt in charge of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. He doesn't believe that the environment needs protection. In fact, he hates it. He's been working his whole life to dismantle it. He's had lobbyists from the oil and gas companies that are part of his state's economy. He has had them write letters, which he has then run off on state stationery and sent to the EPA, sent to the Interior Department, sent to the Office of Management and Budget, and sent to President Obama. He's got Harold Hamm, who is the chief executive of Continental Energy, which is a giant Oklahoma oil and gas company. He's co-chairman of Mr. Pruitt. He was co-chairman of Mr. Pruitt's re-election campaign when he ran for re-election as Oklahoma's Attorney General in 2013. I mean, this is so cozy, isn't it? And isn't Oklahoma suddenly having earthquakes? I mean, Oklahoma, like your weather isn't freaking bad enough. Your storms are much more severe than they've ever been. And, you got now earthquakes on top of it. And these guys are just going to frack you into, just a wasteland is what it is. There won't be any clean. But it's just so amazing because they're all Christian guys and they don't love God's earth. I just find it fun. But when Mr. Pruitt was sworn in, it quickly became an opportunity to work secretly with some of the largest oil and gas companies and the state's coal-burning electric utility. They still burn coal for electricity in Oklahoma. He tried to overturn a large part of the Obama administration's regulation on air emissions, water pollution, endangered animals, documents all obtained by the New York Times. As Attorney General, Mr. Pruitt took the unusual step of jointly filing an anti-regulatory lawsuit with the players in industry, Oklahoma Gas and Electric, the coal-burning electric utility, Domestic Energy Producers Alliance, a nonprofit group backed by major oil and gas executives, including Harold Hamm, who I suspected was going to be the EPA chief. But, they just did him once removed. They picked his friend. Harold Hamm apparently doesn't want to divest himself. He's worth, too much. And that brings another question to mind. Are any of these people going to divest themselves? Because Donald Trump has said he's not. First, he said he would because the visual, he said, was really important that he was divesting. Now, Ivanka's moving to Washington. She's looking for a new president of her company because she wants to be somewhere in the administration. And then he said the two sons will run his business and he's not going to divest himself. And you know what? It doesn't matter because we would never know anyway. So now the Senate has written a letter asking for clarification about what parts of the Constitution doesn't this man understand? And the answer, of course, is all of it. But he was taking campaign contributions from the industry players on his team, or he was helping deliver even larger sums of money to the Republicans Attorneys General Association, which he became the chairman of. So apparently money motivates all this, stuff. But it's just unbelievable, this guy. Now, what's going to be fascinating about his confirmation? You know who sits on the committee that has to confirm him? Bernie! Yay! So I'm telling you, like the must-see TV after January, the must-see TV in the next year in 2017 is going to be C-SPAN, and I can't freaking wait. It's going to be so good. Bernie sits on the committee that has to confirm him, and he's already said the American people must demand leaders who are willing to transform our energy system away from fossil fuels. I will vigorously oppose this nomination. Feeling the burn again. It's probably just coal, but I feel it. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.